Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We're now finishing the fourth paragraph of the Maimer Basi Legani, I have come to my garden, which talks about Hashem's relationship with the world through the Jews. And how every Jew can and must and is able and wants to make himself into a holy temple. And how to do it. So the Rebbe says, every Jew has what's called a godly soul. And this godly soul is always attached to the essence of God. It's sort of like a rope. That's at one end of it is attached up, and the other end of it is attached below. This rope is composed of 613 strands corresponding to the 613 commandments of the Torah. And if a Jew knows that he's going to cut himself off from God, he won't do anything that will cut himself off from God. Interestingly enough, what is it that attaches a Jew to God are the commandments. The commandments, amazingly enough, are the thing that connects the Creator to His creation. That's what we believe. When a Jew does commandments, it makes more of a connection to the point where a person can be like the Holy Temple, and in the Holy Temple there was complete revelation of God, because there was a complete observance of God's commandments in the Holy Temple. Okay, trying to call up Moshe Tzvi. Okay, let's do it from here. Hagam, even though the last word in the line is achas.
Achas?
But we did this yesterday. You have it? Last word in the line is achas.
Last word.
Last word. Hagam, even though.
Okay.
Deba'avro, that when a person transgresses.
I don't know where you are.
Last word in the line is achas. Last word in the line.
Few up.
Hagam, even though. Deba'avro, that when a person transgresses. In other words, a Jew is not willing to cut the whole entire rope. If he really feels that he's being cut off from God, he won't do it. But little things, smaller things, other of sins, he's willing to do. He's willing to do. He doesn't feel that he's being cut off. Says the Rebbe, but really he's fooling himself. Hagam, even though. You have it, Gabriel? See where we are?
Yeah. Hagam.
Deba'avro.
Transgressor.
That when a person transgresses, that in his transgression, al-an, achas, one, mitzvahs of the commandments of Hashem, of God. If he transgresses on one of the commandments of God, I share that, tziva la'asosam, God said that He commanded to do them. Ve'enos, and he doesn't do. Right? God, a positive commandment, God commanded to do it, and he doesn't do it. That's one of the little sins, right? God said to put on tefillin, God said to put on tzitzis, God says to keep Shabbos, and he doesn't do it. He doesn't feel anything. Shabbos is no different from any other day. Oh, or sha'oso, if he does do, right, he positively transgresses. Achas, one, min mitzvahs Hashem, the commandments of God. Asher tziva Hashem, that God commanded. The bilti la'asosam, not to do. Right? In other words, if he doesn't do something God said you should do, or he does do something God says you shouldn't do, or in simple language, if a person does a sin, hare, behold, al yedezeh, by means of this, nifsak is broken, hanima prati is the individual strand of the 613 strands of this rope. To beprat zeh, that in this detail, in this one strand that he breaks, hari haim, hari hu could be there is, call all, ha'atzamud, all of the essence, shell of ha'prat hazeh, of this detail.
Also stream.
What's he mean? A person, it's like if you go up to a person and say, can I cut off your finger? The person will say, you're nuts. You say, well, why not? What's wrong with me cutting off your finger? I don't understand. I mean, it's not going to kill you. The person will say, yes, so what? It's not going to kill me. You can't cut it off. Crazy, it's part of me. It's part of me. Says the Rebbe, it's exactly the same thing here. The entire rope that connects us to God is a thing that a Jew feels in its entirety. A Jew doesn't want to be separated from God. Doesn't want to be. Unless he has no idea what God is. There's Reform Jews, there's Reconstructionist Jews, but they want to be Jews. They don't believe in the Torah, they don't believe in that, they don't believe, but they're Jews. And if there's one thing that they believe in, that's Judaism, they won't separate from it. I told this joke, it's not a joke, it's a true story. I've told it a 1,000 times, but it's true. I saw it once. Somebody brought me from one of the Israeli newspapers. This must have been 25 years ago. That they interviewed a Jew that he had a restaurant in Israel where he sold, Hashem should help us, pork. Huh? Davar acher, they call it. White meat, they call it. Basar lavan. He sold pork. It was a restaurant. And people came in and bought it. He said, I want to tell you, he said, the guy that sells, who owns the store, he says, I know I'm making people do sins, but that's how I make my living. What can I do? That's it. He said, I want to tell you an interesting story. Once somebody came into my store, and he ordered a sandwich, and I put this meat into the sandwich, and I asked him what he wants on the sandwich. Does he want to have pickles? Does he want to have spices? He wants to have vinegar? So the person looks at me, he looks at the sandwich, he turns all red, he looks at me again, starts pounding on the table, says, what do you think I am, a goy? You want me to burn down your whole place? What do you think, what type of a place is this? So I looked at him and I said, listen, I don't know what you're getting so angry about it for. There's a big sign in the front that says that we sell here pork. You know, what are you getting angry about? He said, pork. He said, it's Passover. What are you giving me chametz for? Chametz, the sandwich he's making, is chametz. He said, I looked at him, I said, I was serious. He said, I had 2 matzahs in my lunchbox. I took out the matzah, put it in between the matzahs. They sat down and he ate. So now that's a Jew. If he cares about burning in hell or something, so what's he eating pork for? Right? And if he does care about chametz, right? If he's not religious at all, he eats pork, then what does he care about eating chametz for? It doesn't make any sense. Right? But that's what a Jew is. It doesn't make any sense. In this one detail, he knows his grandfather didn't eat chametz on Pesach, and his great-grandfather didn't, and he's going to give his soul. Right? He's going to, who knows, he could get in a fight, he could lose. Who knows if the guy has a gun under the counter, who knows what he's got. It was bad. But in that one thing, he felt his Judaism. And he felt that he's a Jew. And you have these rabbis, what are Reconstructionist rabbis, something, they don't care about anything. You say, you're not a good Jew. Look, I'm as good as you. All of a sudden, they get all excited. It means something to them. It touches them. That's their connection to God. But what about the other things? The other things, they don't feel so. He says, but really, the fact of the matter is that when a person transgresses the other commandments, is he's cutting off one strand, that strand is totally unlike any of the other strands. It has something that nothing else has. Right? Like a person cutting off his finger. So it's not going to hurt you, but it's a big deal, cutting off the guy's ear. Right? His ear is a big deal, it's an ear. He says, yeah, but still he's going to be without an ear. Everybody's going to see that the guy is without an ear. It's not like cutting your hair, it grows back. The same thing is, a person doesn't do a commandment. That day that he didn't do the commandment, that's it. That day is not going to grow back. It's missed. But you don't feel it. It's not such a big deal. Right? Not such a big thing. Says the Rebbe, the Rebbe Yoter, even more, that if you don't do one of the commandments, Shapol, it causes Chalishud, a weakness. Mekalalos, and the entire Hachev, robe. It causes a weakness in the entire robe. Right, let's just take the example of this rabbi, the Reform rabbi, the Reconstructionist rabbi. He tells the people you don't have to keep Shabbos, you don't have to keep anything. The Bible is just, it used to be, it was made up, it was the whole thing. Now all of a sudden it comes to a chance he has a chance he can get married to a non-Jewish woman. Like now all of a sudden he starts to think, should I marry this non-Jewish woman or not? I like her. We get along very well. She's very nice. But according to the Torah, the children are not going to be Jewish. But I just finished giving a sermon and in the synagogue that there's no such thing as Jew or not Jew. It's just, we're all just one big people, and the Torah is not so true. But the fact is that I know that the rabbis say that if I marry this lady, my children are not going to be Jewish. Doesn't make any difference to me, or doesn't make any difference to me. No, doesn't make any difference. Well, maybe a little bit. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. No, right? What's he going to do? He says, if he's already not doing any commandments anyway, so that's going to weaken his whole connection. He says, what do I care? What do I care about? I'll marry her, I like her, I see her, I feel good. Right? We talk, we dance, we sing. It's just wonderful dancing into the horizon, into the sunset. Right? That's it. That's it. What is Judaism business? But there's this little voice inside of him that says, no, you're a Jew. Your children won't be Jewish. What do you say? You're going to do it. He's trying to say, yeah, I don't care. So the fact that he didn't do any commandments, that weakens it. It weakens it a little bit. Right? If he would have done more commandments, he wouldn't have thought about this. So he's a nice lady. He's a nice lady. I'll say hello. We'll have a conversation. He doesn't have to get married to her. The less commandments that he does, the weaker and weaker and weaker that it becomes. His connection. That's why, very interestingly, one of the last commandments that people throw away, like the people don't want to be religious. Like there used to be in Bulgaria, people in Bulgaria. A lot of these people, they don't know anything about Torah religions, right? But one thing they do, they don't keep Shabbos, they don't keep... Well, what do they know? Circumcision. They circumcise their children. Right? Why do they circumcise? It's a crazy thing. You take a baby 8 days old, the guy doesn't keep Shabbos, he doesn't eat kosher. Right? It doesn't eat kosher. It hurts you to keep kosher. It doesn't hurt. You keep kosher, you don't keep kosher. It doesn't hurt you. Here you're taking your child and you're circumcising him, it hurts him. Right? But that's usually the last thing that people throw away. That's in communist Russia. You meet a Jew that didn't do circumcision. You ask him what's his name, and he says his name is Yevgeny or something like that. You say, what's your Hebrew name? I don't have one. It means the guy wasn't circumcised. Right? That's like usually the last step. People don't circumcise their children. That means he doesn't do anything. One of the reasons is because the circumcision is in that place where it's connected to marriage. It's connected to marriage. A person remembers, hey, I'm a Jew. It reminds him that he's a Jew. Because a person gets married to a non-Jewish woman, the children are not Jewish. That doesn't make any sense why. Right? They could be nice looking, they could be intelligent, and they could be, wonderful personalities, but they're not Jewish. The guy could have children that they're ugly and they're stupid and they have terrible personalities, but they're Jewish.
But black wasn't there.
Huh?
Black wasn't there.
Where?
In Russia. If you circumcised.
Sure.
Had to go to the army, and you in the shower.
Good, but they did it. But there were people that did it.
Very few.
There were people, you're right, very few.
Because they kill you.
Yeah. That's right, you'd be ostracized. Let's go. Oh, Yoter, even more. Shapoel, that it causes. Chalishud, weakness. You with me, everybody? Baklalos in the entire Chevel rope. Ubakol zeh, but nevertheless. Ubakol zeh, and nevertheless. Hine, behold. Liyosam, because they are. Write this down. Liyosam, because they are. Liyosam, because they are. Or being that they are. Rock only. Nimim, strings. Because these individual commandments are only strings.
It's the same as prat.
Pratim, individual.
It's individual, it's not string.
Hare, behold. Eino, it is not. Nirgash, felt. Etzlo, so much. By him, Etzlo, by him. Kolkach, so much.
Isn't Nirgash Yiddish?
No, it's not. Nirgash is to feel. Nirgash means to be felt. How do you call it? Reflexive or something passive? To be felt.
Unconditional reflex.
Hainu, namely, Shebazeh, that in this, in this detail, putting on tefillin, or what are the little details of Judaism? Hine, behold, Hamidos, the emotions, the nefesh abamis of the animal soul, and there's your natural human soul, ma'alimin, conceal, umastirin, and hide, an, hamidos, the emotions, the nefesh elokis of the godly soul. In other words, a person loves, he has love for the world. He has fear for the world. He cares about the world. He doesn't care about God, and he doesn't care about meaning, he doesn't care about purpose. He cares about the world. And that's because he does that, so this is, what am I going to do commandments for? What's the point? Maybe if everybody in the congregation does it, it's part of, I live in Mea Sharim, and it makes me part of the group. So I'll put on tefillin every day. But as soon as he goes outside and he's somewhere else and people look at him and he thinks it feels a little bit unusual, is he going to put on tefillin? No way. No way. What am I going to do that for? He'll put it on his house. Maybe. Right? And then a couple of days he misses, and a couple of days this, because the world is real. But the tefillin are... according to the godly soul, it's exactly the opposite. The godly soul, the whole reason I'm here is I can put on tefillin. Right? And then with the ideas and the inspiration I have from putting on tefillin, then I can work in the world, I'll make the world a better place. When I meet people, I'll act in a different way, and I'll be more meaningful and more positive, more optimistic. That's what it's supposed to be. But other people say, no, the world gets them down. The world makes them miserable, the world makes them... Then the person thinks the only answer to the problems is the world. I need another beer, I need more money, I need more popularity, I need more this. The world will fill my spiritual lacking, and it doesn't work. But the animal soul doesn't care. The animal soul doesn't care about that. The animal soul just wants everything and wants it now. I don't want no spiritual. What I see, what I feel, that's what I want. Says the Rebbe, therefore, I know, namely, she'eno, that he does not. She'eno, it is not.
Shebezeh.
Oh, I know, namely, excuse me. Shebezeh, that in this.
George,
I said
I
it. I did it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We'll do it again. Shebezeh, that in this, hine, behold, I'll do the line again. Hine, behold, hamidos, the emotions. The nefesh, Bahamis, of the animal soul. Malim, in conceal. Umastirin, and hide. An. Hamidos, the emotions. The nefesh, of the keys of the godly soul. And therefore, what happens, we're talking about reality here. She'eno nirga, she does not feel. Etzlo, by him. Or the life. The chayos, and the life. Eloki, of godliness. We're talking about feeling over here. He doesn't feel, he can learn mind morning, but he doesn't feel anything. And this is a seed of the reason. Sheba, that he comes. They to Avera, to do a sin. Rahman Litzlan. Rahmana, which means God, Litzlan, should save us.
There's the reason he comes to the day.
That's how a person can come into the hands of the sin, of sins. And this can come to do a sin. What's the Rebbe doing? The Rebbe is trying to find a really good excuse for all the Jews that don't keep Torah and mitzvahs. A Jew, the only reason the Jew doesn't do Torah and mitzvahs is not because they're bad. They do it because they don't have any feeling.
Rahman Lislan.
God forbid. Rahmana.
It's like Has V'Shalom, same thing.
Yeah.
But what does mean Lislan?
Rahmana, should God, Litzlan, should save us.
Rahman is
Rahmana means God.
Okay. Okay. So then
Hainu, namely, Ruach Shtus, the Ruach Shtus of the Sitra Achra. The Ruach Shtus of the Sitra Achra, of the other side, Shem Chaset, that covers.
The shtus is craziness.
Ruach, the spirit, right? Shtus is craziness. The Sitra Achra of the other side, Sitra means up, means side. Achra means other. Shem Chaset, that covers. Umalim, and hides. Al, an. Or the light. Or emes of truth. It hides over the light of truth. She'ein or nirgash is not felt. Etzlo by him. Or the light. Ho Eloki of Hashem.
what did Nirgash?
Felt, to feel. It's not felt. It doesn't feel. By him, any light of godliness. doesn't feel anything. I gave this example a lot of times, and I'll give it again. You have a German guy, Nazi. He's standing in the concentration camp, and he's killing people all day. Leads people to the gas chambers. He's killing people all day. He has no feeling whatsoever. And once in a while, he has to stop. He says, let's stop. I want to take a little cigarette break. I have a little break. That's all. He's killing people all day. Absolutely no feeling whatsoever. He comes home, and his wife says, bad news. They took our son today by mistake with the Jews, and they killed him. He says, what? He says, yes, he was taken to crematorium number 54. He says, that's where I work. I killed my own son. Wow. All of a sudden he has this, one second, the whole day he's been killing people, and he didn't cry, did nothing. Did nothing. All of a sudden he killed his own son. Ah! And he didn't feel it. With his son, oh, it's my son. He has all those connections. He feels something's going on. But all these children are also somebody's sons. I mean, obviously they're somebody's sons. They're human beings. Why doesn't he feel it with them, and he does feel it with these people? It doesn't make any sense. Why? Because somebody convinced him that all these people are all evil, and they're all diseased, and they have to be destroyed, and he's doing it for the sake of a bigger Germany, whatever he's doing, he has to do it. So he doesn't feel. In other words, what happens? What's his sin? What is his sin? His sin is that he doesn't feel. It's a sin. His sin is he has no feeling. If he would have feeling, he would never do it. He would never be willing to do it. Like kill so many people. What am I killing people for? What?
But he has feeling.
But this feeling has been taken away from these people. He said these are not human beings. These are not really human beings. These are bad human beings. Right? These are bad. The same thing is with the Jews also. We have a commandment. We're supposed to kill Amalek. There's supposed to be a nation of people called Amalek, and we're supposed to kill them. We're supposed to kill the children. That's a crazy commandment. That's what it is.
But we do feel. It doesn't mean that we don't feel.
But from these people, the feeling is taken away. In other words, if somebody, it's a matter of definition. If somebody say, hey, you're making a mistake, this is not Amalek. This is Stamalek. You're making a mistake. Amalek is, oh, I almost killed everybody. It's the same thing. What happens? A person goes into the world and he thinks, this is reality. Here it is. Torah and mitzvahs is not reality. So he has no feeling for it. He has no feeling for you understand? He has no feeling for
the intellectual feeling, I guess.
But the intellect brings emotion. What does the intellect do? The intellect can make you realize what is reality. Understand? So he says, like the example I said with the guy with the painting the wall. He says, here is your father that you haven't seen for 30 years. He says, well, one second, but I won the money, right? I get the money. It was by him, money is a real thing. It didn't click to him. What it means is, your father. Think, it's your father. He brought you up. He said, oh yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, I remember that day. All of a sudden he starts to remember. He starts to connect to the truth. What's the truth? The truth is people love their parents. It's a natural thing. That's the truth. That's a fact. People love their parents. But he just didn't turn into it. He didn't tune into it because of his intellect.
So is it more intellectual than feeling, emotional?
Listen, no. It's not. The intellect is the key. The intellect is the door that opens up so that you can see what the facts are. But really, when it comes down to it, the main thing is the feeling. The main thing is your feeling. The main thing is that's what wakes up your humanity, your love. It's a commandment to love God.
But to do something wrong because he doesn't have the intellect.
Right.
But the feeling he has. But he's lacking intellect.
But he's not connected to it because he has no intellect, so he's not connected to the feeling.
But he has feeling. He just doesn't have the intellect. So how could it be the feeling? It should be lack of intellect, not the lack of feeling. You see what I mean?
Yeah, listen. What is it? It's a commandment. For instance, it's a commandment to love God. That's the commandment. A person, how do you get to this commandment of loving God? By thinking about it. But the commandment is to love. It's a commandment to love every Jew. How do you get to the commandment?
By reading about it.
By thinking about it, reading about it, trying to understand.
So that's intellect, not feeling.
Right, but the intellect is only the means to the goal. The goal is the feeling. He said the goal is you understand what I mean? So it's like a person has to get to Eretz Yisrael to...
Understand. So the person is not doing the commandment, is not lacking feeling, is lacking intellect.
No, because he's lacking the intellect, and he doesn't think about it, and he's not making any effort, or he's never been taught, so therefore he can't do...
So it's nothing to do with the feeling.
But the feeling is the commandment.
The feeling is a byproduct of the intellect. But why he's not doing the commandment is not the lack of feeling, it's
right,
the lack
yes,
of
that's
intellect.
Right. Yes. But the commandment is to have this feeling. That's what the commandment is.
So in reality, is he didn't attain the intellect, not the lack of the
In
emotion.
Chassidus is called like this. It's called Chachma, Bina, and Das. What's Das? Das is the thing that connects you to the feeling. The feeling is Chesed and Gevurah, love and fear. But a person can have the intellect, but it doesn't connect it. Right? He can have the intellect, he can have all the ideas in his mind, but it doesn't connect the ideas to anything. For instance, he knows Jewish people love their children.
So here you're talking about somebody who knows and doesn't do it.
Even if he does know, right? But it just doesn't. It can be that he does know. It can be that he doesn't know. Here, the mimer is talking about more than a person that doesn't know. Yes,
Oh,
right. But he doesn't connect it. But he doesn't connect it. He was a big rabbi. He knows all these things. But what if he knows that also that he has a good sense of humor and he can appear and make people laugh? But all the nightclubs are open on Shabbos, right? What's he going to do? He's going to make his own nightclub on Sunday for religious people. They don't care about joking. They don't care about that. The Jewish people aren't going to. What's he going to do? He's going to be just like everybody else, and he's going to be, just a regular nobody. But when he stands up on that stage, he starts to talk. Everybody likes it. There's a lot of money in it. So what? Shabbos is out the door. And what happens? His feeling for money is more real than his feeling for Shabbos.
yeah, all that makes sense if he knows and he's transgressing.
Okay, good.
That is for somebody who doesn't
Yeah,
know.
that's right, yes. Oh, listen, also a person who doesn't know, he still is lacking the feeling. He's still, whatever the reason is, whether it's because he knows, or and he just doesn't care, or whether he doesn't know, but in the end, he's lacking the feeling. Right? But you're right, a person that does know, that's where the Ruach Shtus affects him. Right? You're right, it has to be talking about a person that has some education, right? This mimer is talking, who's the mimer written for? It's written for us. It's written for Hasidim. Read this in Hebrew. Understand? It's not a mimer for us to judge other people. See, he's a sinner. He's a sinner. Okay?
Thank you.
So we do have to educate the world, yes, but we see another thing, even in ourselves, that even when we do know that the spirit of insanity covers over us and makes us insensitive to Hashem. V'zeo, and this is, let's see what the reason. Shabo. First word of the line is etzlo.
Well, we covered that, Rama.
Huh?
We're all the way to the last line.
Yeah, v'zeo, here. Huh?
V'chahi.
Oh yeah, that's right. The ko and so hena. The ko hena means so much. Okay, that's where we are?
Yes.
The ko hena and so much. Yored, he descends, Rahman Litzlan. Midechi, from stumbling man. Dechi means like how do you say, from falling. El dechi, to falling. Until from. Dechi el dechi means to be pushed down and pushed down. Person falls and falls. Until Shabo, he comes. La'aso, to do. Davar, a thing. Isur, that's forbidden. Rahman, that's like God forbid. Vahu, and it is. Mitzad, because of Haruach Shtus, the spirit of craziness, Kanishka, like we said before. Kitzur, Yamshich, we continue. And the Ruach Shtus, the feeling of craziness, Mechaseh, covers. Rak, only. Al, an. Midos, the emotions. The nefesh alakis of the godly soul. Below, but not. Al, an. Atzmuta, its essence.
The essence of connection.
Of the godly soul, right? The etzem itkashruto, and the essential connection of the godly soul to So no matter how far a Jew is, he can always wake up. There's always something there.
Yechida never gets dirty.
If you want to call it that. Yeah, here he doesn't say that.
Even with the cars?
What? Even with cars. No. Of course, in Igros Kodesh and the Tanya, he explains that nowadays, even people who do things that are chorus, they can do tshuva nowadays. Nowadays, everybody can do tshuva.
We've had the letter, thank you.
Hey, what? Hey.
The Tanya, right?
Well, in the Tanya, in the what? Igros third book.
Doesn't matter what he's done.
Doesn't matter what he's done. What's the problem nowadays? Nowadays, the problem is that a person doesn't want to do tshuva. He doesn't want to. They tell him that he reads in a book that you can always do tshuva for anything, any sin. He says, "Oh, really? Any sin? Oh, I got some good sins I want to do." It's like the guy who goes to the church and he confesses his sin. So I did the sin, and the priest says, "Okay, that'll be $100 to the church." He says, "Here, take the money." He says, "But this is $1,000." He says, "Yeah, I want to do it 9 more times." I really like that.
Even killing somebody, you can still do.
Listen, there's certain sins that you can always do tshuva, but not for everything. In other words, let's say if you steal money from somebody, you can do tshuva on what you did, but you have to pay the person back. Doing tshuva might fix you up to it as much as it can, but the money is still stolen. It says, Avios shiyata yocholotaken. There's some crookedness that can't be fixed up. It says, what is it? One of the things is if you steal money from a lot of people and you don't know who you stole from. I remember once when I was young, I had a bunch of bad friends. I had a bunch of bad friends. Anyways, I had a bunch of bad friends.
They followed you here.
And these guys used to steal. They would steal. They would shoplift. They called it shoplifting. So they would steal. So I eventually got not bad at it. I didn't steal, money from the cash register or anything. But I could go and, I had this coat, so I would go and I would practice at home. And I could just take things and I would shoot them like this. Take something and shoot it up my sleeve. And I would turn it a certain way because I was worried they had videos and they did. So I would go home and I would write down what I stole. I stole a deck of cards, we used to play poker, stole candies. Finally, after everything, I maybe had stolen, $100 worth of stuff or something like that. So a couple of years went by. I had a little notebook and it was all written down.
You really kept track of it?
Yeah, I kept track. It was pretty sick. Anyway, so this is when I was like 13 years old, 14 years old. So I remember I said to myself, that was really bad what I did. Why did I do that? My father also had a store. I would feel bad if somebody stole it. So I'm going to go back to the guy and I'll give him the money back. And I'll confess. I'll tell him what I did. And I was really sorry. When I went back to the store had closed. It wasn't. It was a restaurant or something. I said, oh man, I really felt bad. So I went and I asked, do you know what I don't know. It was Franklin's, what is the store, 5 and 10 cent store or something like that. Probably they got stole because there was another 1,000 people like me that stole it.
Franklin's 5 and 10 was a chain like Woolworths.
Yeah. It was called Ben Franklin's.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was it. So I remember the bad feeling I had, and I thought, wow, I really feel bad. I really wanted to. When I stole it, I felt really good. But now I thought, this is really stupid. What did I do that stuff for? I could have just bought it, and I would have gotten them like that. And then I didn't even want to impress my friends because I didn't trust them. I thought they would go and tell me. So I had to keep it secret. So I wrote it on the book. I remember I went back and it says that there's other things, there's other sins that God forbid a person kills people. What can you do? You can't. So you have to do. It says in the Gemara that what was it, Rabbi Shimon ben Shetach or something, that he gave advice to who did he give advice to rebuild the temple? Hortus. That he killed all these people. He said, rebuild the base of Mikdash. You should rebuild the base of Mikdash, make it beautiful. That's the light of the world. You killed the light of the world because you killed the wise men. The light of the world is the base of Mikdash. So he gave him advice to fix up. But a person, there's certain things that you can't. What can you do? You just ask Hashem for forgiveness. It says by King David, Chatasi negdi tami, that King David, his sin is in front of me always. What was King? It says in the Gemara that King David didn't really sin. What he did, he had every right to do it. It was sin, but there were certain elements in it. It was a little bit too. He pushed it a little bit too much. What he did, that he killed this man.
Bathsheba.
He killed the Uriah Hachiti because of Bathsheba. So he said that Bathsheba was going to be the mother of King Solomon. He was supposed to get married to her, and her husband had rebelled against King David, and he was guilty. He was supposed to be killed anyway. But King David is a little bit too impetuously, if you want to say that's not the wrong word to use. These people were tremendously, devoted to God every second of their lives. But whatever small thing that he did, he said that sin is in front of me always. Because it revealed, I want to call it a flaw in his approach to God or something. I can't exactly explain what it did show, but a person should always be striving to be higher.
And he didn't really kill him either.
Because it says in the Talmud says that King David really didn't sin. If anybody thinks that David sinned, then he's really making a mistake. And exactly the opposite. If King David really did sin, so the Torah should have kept it quiet. This is the Torah of the Jews. This is not WikiLeaks or something. Somebody let it out. This is the Eibishter. The Eibishter is telling us to write this stuff. Let's go. Hine, behold. Now a little bit of happy. Now we're going to get happy. Up to now we learn about these terrible things about doing sins and not feeling God, ruach shtus and being crazy and temporarily insane. Now we're going to learn how to fix up the world. Yes.
So how does it say when the Baal Tshuva stands where the Tzaddik doesn't? So how is that fits in there?
The reason usually is because the Baal Tshuva is running from death. And therefore he does it with more energy, with more, how do you say, craziness. The Baal Tshuva is more crazy for God than the Tzaddik is. The Tzaddik loves God, he's devoted to God, he feels God, God is his mother, his father, his wife, his everything. A tzaddik is a person that every fiber of his body, he's devoted to Hashem, but he's not necessarily crazy for Hashem.
No?
He's not crazy for God. A person who runs away from death is crazy. You always hear these stories about, the car was on a jack or the truck, a truck, and then all of a sudden it fell down on the baby, on his leg, and the grandmother who's like 85 years old and she's crippled and laying in bed and she all of a sudden pulls out all the the tubes and runs up, picks up the truck, and they show pictures of it in the newspaper, do it again, Grandma says, I can't do it. My son is not in it. We'll put the boy underneath, let's do it again. We've got to get that picture. Right? Because a person, when he's running from death, when there's something like that, he does crazy things. All of a sudden there's new power, new energy. Right? A person to save his life is willing to do it. Right? They say if there was a chance over here you had $1,000 in your room, and over there you saw there was somebody giving away $1,000, and you heard somebody's breaking into your room. You see the guy's breaking into the room. Which direction do you run? You run to make the money or to scare the guy away? Because most people would run to the break into my room. They can't do it. They can't stand. A person is more inspired by getting away from bad than he is to do good. So a Baal Tshuva is usually a person that he realizes what God is, and that's what makes him realize how bad the things are that he did. But on the other hand, he wants to do them again. Right. It's his personality. Right? He wants to do it. Right? The drug addict or whatever, he knows how bad it is to take drugs. Right? But he can't stop himself.
It's a constant battle.
Right. And here, this person, he's a Baal Tshuva. He says, yes, I'm going to stop myself. I'm not going to do that anymore. Right? I'm not going to the bars anymore. I'm not going to the Chal Shabbos anymore. I'm not going to, right? I'm going to be close to God. But he's running away from bad. The feeling that he has is himself. Right? He knows that I want to do these bad things. I like it. I like to do it. In order to do that, he has to cling to God. It's really amazing if you read in the Alcoholics Anonymous and this Narcotics Anonymous stuff. I mean, these are simple people on the street. A lot of these people are, or they were really low-life people. I mean, people that, that had no spirituality, in their life. They were just thieves and liars and cheaters, right? Just low-life people who would do anything. All of a sudden, they realize they want to get away from, from bad. They want to get away from all of a sudden they become the most spiritual people in the world. The most spiritual people you could possibly imagine. They're talking about God all the time, and they believe in God. And we're not talking about religious. I'm not talking about religious people. They talk about the church, and they talk about they talk about God and how real God is, and how God helps them, and how God is close to them. Suddenly these people that are just, what do you say, subhuman before, all of a sudden they become superhuman.
Because they want to live.
Because they want to live, so they're running away from bad, and they know that, any second that they have a saying, one day at a time. They can't control their whole life. They can't take their whole life and say, I'm not going to take any drugs this week. Can't do it. They say, I'm not going to take any drugs this hour. Maybe that I can do. Maybe that. And in order to do that, they have to pray, and they have to write down, they have to talk to their friends, and they have to do a million tricks, right? In order just to be normal. So here's a person that took his life into his own hands. He's doing something with his life. By him, he's in touch with life every second. It's like like these, you see these movies, where the guy's stranded behind enemy lines, and any second he can, he always has to know how to protect himself and know how to strike and know how to this. It's interesting. People pay money to see a movie like that. And here his whole life is just, fighting with death every single second. That's a Baal Tshuva. Baal Tshuva is a person that he's running away from death. Let's go. Hine, behold, shame just like. Sheyesh, there is. Hataya, a deviation. Lamata, below. Minadat, normal. Shehu, which is. Nikra, called. B'shem, by the name. Shtus, craziness. Insanity. The klippa of shells, in other words, of evil. Hine, behold. Kamo, and similarly. Yeshno, there is. Hataya, a deviation. Lamaila, above. Minadah, from normal. For who, when it is, shtut, insanity. The kedusha, holiness. Now here, according to this Maimon, what is normal? Normal means a Jew that does all the mitzvahs. He's a normal person. He does all the commandments, he does what he's supposed to do. That's normal. Below normal is that he doesn't want to do the commandments. He doesn't want to act like a Jew. What's above normal? What could be above normal? He does all the commandments. What could be above normal? His attitude, we'll see. Inyan, who was like this. And we're going to see that this being crazy, above normal, is the only way we're going to bring Mashiach. The only way. If you're normal, you're not going to bring Mashiach. It's good, you won't make any trouble, but that's not the thing that's going to change the world. To bring Mashiach, you have to change the whole world. The world can't continue the way it is. Like this. What is this craziness, holy craziness? What is this shtus to Kedusha that we have to have? Listen, we got to have it. This is not an option. This, the Rebbe is saying, if you're going to be a Chassid Chabad, you have to have it. If it's not there, you're missing something. It's like playing soccer without a ball. You can't have it. The Indian is like this. The Hine, behold. Omer, as all the rabbis say, in the Gemara Ketuvos, Yud Zayin Amar Aleph. Omer Allah, they said about him. About who? Al-An, Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai. Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai. Shahaya, that he would. Notel, take. Bad, a stick. Shel Hadas, of myrtle. You know what that is, myrtle? Like we use in Sukkot. And the lulav and esrog. Right? What? Hadas, right. The one that smells good. You know what it is, the lulav and esrog? Yeah, so there's one of them is like a stick like that. That we take that has leaves on it. The leaves cover over it. That's called hadas. He used to take a stick of this hadas, umaraket, and dance Lifnei, before Hakala, the bride. Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Shmuel, Bar Rav Yitzchak, the son of Rav Yitzchak. Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak, what did he do? Maraket, he danced. This is Aramaic. A talas, with three. What does it mean three? What did he dance with? Three what? Shlosh badin. 3 sticks. Zorek, throw. He would throw. Achat, 1. Umakabel, and receive. Achat, 1. Rashi. Juggle. He was a juggler. He would go to a wedding of a very respectable person, and he would juggle. You can imagine Rabbi Katz or something upstairs with these big, honorable people, Rabbi Ashkenazi, going to a wedding, right? And everybody say, okay, hit it, Rabbi Ashkenazi. Everybody say, oh, wow, this is terrible, right? All the rabbis say, man, this guy's get him out of here. Omer Rav Zera, and that's exactly what happened. What is the example of craziness, holy craziness? A person that everybody can't stand them. Omer Rav Zera says, Ka, thus, Matzid, embarrasses, shames, Matzid, shames.
Shames.
Shame, to make us ashamed. Embarrasses. Lan, us. Saba, this old man. Saba, this old man. Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. He's embarrassing us. Get him out of here.
Grandfather?
Huh? Saba means the old man, right? This elder. Elder, right? You can just imagine. I mean, here it comes to, there's a big meeting of all these rabbis, and now the elders of Kar Chabad, and they all come in and they're dressed like, like clowns, and they're all juggling, and they all get in a little car. What? This is crazy. This is it. They're embarrassing everybody. So no, if all the people in Kar Chabad did it, but all the other Kar Chabad people came in there, and one of them comes out, and he says, shake hands, right? Want to smell my flower? Smells like, hey, this is great, get him out of here, right? He says, that's what they said. Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. Of course, what the examples I gave were bad examples because those are stupid things with no reason. Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak would dance at a wedding. A wedding is a time when you have to be crazy. The Rebbe's going to explain why. Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak, he didn't do it regularly, just walking in the streets. Right? He didn't go juggling all the time whenever he felt like it. When he came to a wedding and he felt that it was really the proper time to do it, so he acted properly in a crazy way. And all the other rabbis, they wanted to maintain their normal, how do you say, cool
Stature.
Their normal stature. They want to say, oh, look, this rabbi, even in a wedding, look how, how elite he is. He's somebody's. Listen to the end. Maximus Shemazalzel, that he cheapens. First word of line, Shemazalzel, that he cheapens. The kavod, the honor. This abbreviation is Talmidei Chachamim, the wise men. V'noheg, and he conducts, he acts. Kalot Rosh, light-headed, Be'atzmo, in himself. In other words, he's making a fool out of himself. Rashi. So all the rabbis, Rabbi Zera, he was like the head rabbi of those days. Rabbi Zera says, wow, this guy, another time, here he is, who let him in? Right? Who let this guy in? He's embarrassing us, he's shaming us, he's wrecking the whole name of all the wise men. Right? We're trying to be wise, and we are wise, and we're trying to be, austere, and, to add a little bit of sort of honor to the occasion. And here this guy comes and he starts juggling. Get him out of here. Listen to this. Now everybody said, yes, we agree. But to grab a hold of him and throw it out, that'll even be worse. He said, yes, I also agree. We must remain cool. But we hate him. Next wedding, we got security. Get him out of here. But don't let him in. Ki nachnashe. When he died. When who died? When Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. Reb Shmuel Bar Yitzchak, that he's the one that was juggling. When he died, everybody went to his funeral. What had happened? Obviously, they separated. Amuda, a pillar. Denora.
Where are you reading?
Amuda is the last word.
Huh?
Pillar.
Last one is Amuda. You with me?
What's nach?
Ki when. Ki when. Nach nafshe. That's Aramaic for died.
Ah, that's both.
When he died, when Reb Shmuel Bar Yitzchak, the juggler, when he died, obviously they're separated. They're separated. Amuda, a pillar. The Nora, a fire. Ben, between. Didei, him. The Kula, to all. Alma, the world. And in the Gemara it says that this pillar of fire was in the shape of one of those sticks.
So
What
does that mean? He actually, there's a pillar of fire.
Pillar of fire.
That came in his funeral.
Yeah, there was the coffin, or there he was laying down over there, and everybody said, "Poor, let's go and pay our last respects." All of a sudden, this big pillar of fire in the shape of a stick, one of the sticks that they stood between him and everybody else. They couldn't come near him. Rav Zera turned to everybody else and says, "Looks like we made a mistake. Looks like we were wrong." Says Rav Zera. Rav Zera said, "Ahanile." It is pleasing to him, to God. It is pleasing. Ahani means pleasing. Lay, to him. You can put parentheses, to God. Shuti, the sticks. We'll see there's three different meanings of what this is. The sticks, or the craziness, Lasaba, of this old man. And we'll learn three explanations tomorrow. So, just one second before we go. Remember, why are we talking about this? The Holy Temple was made from shittim wood. Shittim wood. That was the main ingredient of the temple. The only way you're going to make yourself into a holy temple is if you have shittim wood. The Rebbe said there's two types of shtus. There's this shtus of the world, which that we don't have to have too much explanation for. And then this Bible is explaining to us what is holy shtus, what is holy craziness. Said the Rebbe, this is what I've been getting to. This is what I'm getting at. You have to have shtus to kedusha. That's the whole message of Yud Shvat when the previous Rebbe passed away, and Yud Shvat when the Rebbe Shlita took over. And what you have to have shtus of holiness. If you don't have it, you're missing the whole point of what is Chabad Hasidus and bringing Mashiach and making yourself into a holy temple, as we will talk about more tomorrow.